Once a human walked along a long road. The road led through forests, across wide meadows, and along a small stream that flowed quietly between stones and moss. The sun was still low in the sky, and its light fell softly through the branches of the trees. The air was fresh, and somewhere in the distance a bird was singing. But the human hardly noticed any of this because the mind was full of thoughts. Thoughts about things that had happened yesterday. Thoughts about mistakes that might have been made. Thoughts about tomorrow, about tasks, expectations, and worries. While the human walked, the mind was constantly travelling, sometimes in the past, sometimes in the future. And so it happened that the human suddenly stumbled over a small stone. The human almost lost balance and stopped with irritation. Looking down at the ground, the human muttered that this stone was lying right in the middle of the path and making people stumble. The human was just about to kick the stone away when a calm voice asked why the human was in such a hurry. The human looked around in surprise, but no one was there. Only the path, the trees, the stream, and the small stone. The human cautiously asked who had spoken. The voice answered calmly that the stone had spoken. Slowly, the human sat down on the ground and looked more closely at the stone. The stone was round, grey, and smooth, like many stones near the stream. There was nothing special about it. The human finally said that a stone could not speak. The stone replied calmly that this might be true, but that it had been lying in this place for a very long time and had seen many humans pass by. Some walked quickly, some slowly, some with heavy steps, some with light ones. But almost all of them had something in common. Their feet were on the path, but their minds were somewhere else. The human became quiet. The stone asked whether the human would like to know what many people on this path had forgotten. The human nodded. The stone said that many people had forgotten how to truly be here. At first, the human did not fully understand what this meant. After all, the human was clearly here, standing on the path. The stone explained that the body might be here, but the thoughts constantly wandered between the past and the future. In this way, the human missed the only moment that truly exists, this one. The human quietly asked how one could learn to truly be here. The stone answered that one could begin with something very simple. The human should simply sit for a moment and breathe. The human closed the eyes briefly and began to breathe slowly. Inhale, exhale. The breath came and went all by itself. After a while, the human noticed how the body began to feel calmer. Then the stone said that the human should listen. The human listened carefully. At first there seemed to be only silence, but then the human noticed the gentle sound of the stream, the rustling of leaves in the trees, a bird calling in the distance. Finally, the stone said that the human should look around. The human opened the eyes and slowly looked around. The sunlight filtered through the trees and formed bright patterns on the ground. The water in the stream shimmered. A leaf detached itself from a branch and drifted slowly down to the earth. The human felt a sense of calm that had not been there before. The stone explained that all of these things had already been there before, but the human had not noticed them because the mind had been too busy. The human asked whether this was mindfulness. The stone answered that mindfulness does not mean finding something new. Mindfulness means noticing what is already there. The human remained sitting for a while. Then the human stood up and continued along the path. The path now led deeper into the forest. After some time, the human came to a large old tree. The tree was so old that its trunk had become thick and rough. Its branches spread wide and its leaves moved softly in the wind. The human sat down in the shade of the tree to rest. Then the human heard a deep, slow voice. The tree asked why the human carried so many thoughts. The human spoke about worries concerning the future and about things from the past that could no longer be changed. The tree replied calmly that it had been standing in this place for many years. Storms had come and gone. Seasons had changed again and again. Leaves had grown, fallen, and grown again. The tree said that everything in life moves and changes. Yet the tree simply remained where it was, feeling the wind, the sun, and the rain. The human asked what could be learned from this. The tree answered that one does not have to hold on to every thought. Thoughts can come and go, just as the wind moves through the leaves. The human sat under the tree for a long time, watching the leaves move in the wind. Eventually, the human stood up and continued walking. The path now led down to the stream. The water flowed quietly over small stones. The human sat down by the shore. While watching the water, the human realized something. The water never stayed still. It kept flowing. And yet the stream remained the same stream. The human began to understand that thoughts could be like that too. They could flow past without needing to be held onto. When the human finally continued along the path, the journey felt different. The human walked more slowly. The human felt the ground beneath the feet. The human heard the sounds of nature. The human saw colors, light, and movement. And whenever the mind became too loud again, the human remembered three simple things: breathe, listen, see. And in this way, step by step, the human learned to be mindful, not sometime later, but right here in the middle of the path. And perhaps somewhere along that path, there is another small stone waiting to remind someone else.